This is the standard version of the Vivo S50 that officially launched just yesterday. It comes with a more classic mainstream design, so the big question is how it performs in daily use. With a powerful Pro Mini already on the market, does the regular S50 still make sense to buy? In this video, I'll break down its strengths and weaknesses as objectively as possible and talk about who this phone is really made for. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Now let's jump straight into the unboxing. Inside the box, the first thing you'll find is a transparent soft case, and the inside has a textured anti-slip finish. There's a 90-watt charging brick, and I won't spend time on the cable. You also get a small round SIM ejector tool. That's everything included. Compared to the previous generation's standard model, the S50 is noticeably shorter, while the width remains almost unchanged. Because of that reduced height, it actually feels a bit cuter in hand. The phone comes in 4 color options, and the one I'm using is called Confession. At first, I assumed it was just another romantic-themed color name, but after reading Vivo's official explanation, it genuinely struck a chord with me. Confession here isn't about expressing feelings to someone else, but about being honest with yourself. It represents liking who you are, accepting your real imperfections, and still choosing sincerity and courage. It's about enjoying freedom without restraint and growing into the person you want to become. That idea instantly gave this color a deeper meaning for me. From the Confession color on the X90 series to White Moonlight on the X100, and now back to Confession on the S series, Vivo really knows how to name its finishes. The S50's color options aren't loud or overly eye-catching. The overall look is soft and understated. The velvet glass back, the aviation green camera module, and the frame are all made from materials that resist fingerprints really well. The side buttons feel firm and solid with no looseness at all. Thanks to Vivo's special light etching process on the back panel, when you move the phone around, the surface reflects light in a very delicate way. It reminds me of the soft shadows you see on curtains when the morning sunlight first fills a room. You get warm gold tones, hints of white, and a touch of light blue, blending together in an irregular, flowing, and very gentle pattern. Honestly, my first impression was just average. I even thought it looked a bit too Apple-like, lacking a strong identity. But after using it for some time, it's the kind of phone that grows on you. The more you look at it, the better it feels. The body is slim and lightweight without feeling bulky. I've been comfortably using it one-handed to scroll through videos, reply to messages, and take photos, and it never feels tiring. Even with a clear case on, the texture still comes through. I actually slipped a few photos inside the case myself, and it looks pretty nice. Compared to the more decorative butterfly-style design on this year's Reno models, I personally find the S50's design cleaner and more refined. Now let's talk about the screen compared to the previous generation. The top area looks slightly different, but overall it feels very similar. In daily use, I'd say it's almost the same size. That said, this display feels more transparent. Just look at the colors. Both screens are at maximum brightness here, and you can clearly see that this one is brighter than before. It's a 6.59-inch display with 1.5K resolution and a 120 Hz refresh rate. According to Vivo, the local peak brightness can reach up to 5,000 nits. Based on my recent usage, outdoor visibility is genuinely not an issue at all. At night, the brightness can drop down to just 1 nit, and with 4,320 Hz high-frequency PWM dimming, it takes noticeably longer for my eyes to feel tired compared to phones using lower-frequency PWM. Overall, it definitely feels more comfortable and eye-friendly to use. When it comes to cameras, the S50 is equipped with a 50-megapixel front-facing camera, while the rear setup includes a 50-megapixel LIT 700-volt main sensor, a 50-megapixel Sony IMX882 periscope telephoto lens, and an 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera. The thing is, Vivo's S series has never aimed to be a no-compromise flagship. Instead, it has always focused on one core strength: portrait photography. As long as it delivers good portraits, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. For landscapes and long-range zoom shots, I already have my X300 Pro, so I'm not relying on the S50 for that. For the sample photos, I asked a friend to help out as my model. Unfortunately, during those days, the weather was consistently terrible. Overcast skies, no sunlight at all, and very flat, scattered lighting. Honestly, this kind of environment is quite challenging for phones in this price range. It really puts the camera to the test. In these conditions, I actually think the S50's front camera performs better than the rear camera, mainly because you can turn on the soft light. With that enabled, the face stays sharp and you still get clear catch lights in the eyes. When combined with filters and adjustable beauty settings, the skin tone doesn't look dull, but it's also not overly brightened to the point of losing detail. You can still see real skin texture without aggressive sharpening, which I think is extremely important. If you want a more cinematic or emotional look, you can choose personalized styles like silky film, soft light CCD, or film. Overall, there are plenty of ways to shoot, and everyone can experiment to find what works best for them. As for the live feature, Vivo has added a dedicated live mode with highlight slow motion effects, zoom effects, and the classic rugged and demanding style. That said, the processing speed still feels a bit slow. When you tap the shutter, it starts processing, and you can see it taking a moment. During burst shooting, there are also times when the shutter button won't respond immediately, so you have to wait for it to catch up. Another thing I noticed is the difference in image quality between the cover frame and the moving part of a live photo. This is actually a common issue with live photos in general. Sometimes the moving image looks slightly worse, with more noticeable sharpening. Hopefully, this can be improved through a future OTA update. We later found a coffee shop with a strong Christmas vibe, and I tested out all the different shooting modes there. The portrait blur doesn't aggressively cut the subject out from the background right away, which I actually prefer. My personal favorite here is still film mode. If you swipe down, this interface appears, showing a wide selection of filters. The silky film option even comes with its own special shutter sound effect. Listen closely, because the other modes don't have it. There are also some beauty settings available here, though you can't fine-tune the parameters. Live photos and additional filters are included as well. The silky film style looks especially beautiful, and I honestly recommend everyone give it a try. I think it makes almost anyone look good. After that, we went to the beach, and it was nearly completely dark. In that situation, I preferred using the clear blue tone or evening breeze modes, which help boost the richness of the overall colors. This is where the strength of the standard version really shows. It may not deliver a super sharp professional look, but it creates atmosphere, and that makes shooting enjoyable. The day after I finished photographing my friends, the sun suddenly came out. I hadn't planned to take any selfies, but I eventually picked up the phone and snapped a few. Taking photos of myself is much harder than photographing others. I'm not particularly confident and always second-guessing my expressions and angles. I worry about whether I look awkward or unnatural. Yet somehow the photos I take with this phone always make me feel like I actually look pretty decent. Whether that's self-deception or not doesn't really matter, at least it makes me happy. In the past, people used to tell me, "Why do you always pout in photos? It looks unnatural." For a while, I kept reminding myself before pressing the shutter, don't pout, just be natural. But once I started forcing that, I ended up looking even more awkward. Then after seeing Vivo's promotional slogan a couple of days ago, I kept telling myself, they said to love yourself, Ralph, right? So I decided to do things my own way, gave myself a little pep talk, and just went with what felt comfortable. You can judge the sample photos for yourself. The S50 handles highlights in bright sunlight quite well. It doesn't blow out my face completely, and even in backlit scenes, it still manages to hold things together. I use this phone continuously throughout the entire day, taking photos, shooting videos, using navigation, replying to messages, watching videos, and listening to music. The phone itself isn't thick or heavy at all, and using it with one hand feels completely effortless. Charging does take a bit longer, roughly about an hour, but the battery life is genuinely impressive. Honestly, it doesn't feel any weaker than phones with 7,000 mAh batteries, which is very reassuring. With Wi-Fi on and the screen constantly active, I can get around 9 to 10 hours of usage. With a mix of Wi-Fi and 5G, it still lasts more than 8 hours. I haven't managed to test it on full 5G the entire time simply because it's way too cold in Qingdao. Most days, by 8 or 9 in the evening, I'm already heading home. One day, using dual SIM 5G outdoors, I checked the battery at 8:19 p.m. and still had 43% left. I honestly couldn't drain it any further. I just had to go home. During the week I used it, I didn't experience any lag or noticeable stuttering at all. Now let's briefly talk about performance. It's powered by the Snapdragon 8's Gen 3, which is a clear upgrade over the previous generation. Beyond that, the rest of the hardware is pretty standard, but the feature set is surprisingly complete. You get IP69 and IP68 water resistance, stereo dual speakers, an X-axis linear motor, full function NFC, an infrared remote, Origin OS 6, and an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. Basically, almost everything you'd expect is here. Of course, it's not flawless. At least on my current firmware version, camera stability is just average, and there are occasional processing errors. Live photo processing takes a bit too long, and during continuous shooting, the shutter can sometimes become unresponsive, needing a moment to recover. Telephoto portraits are only so-so, with sharpening that can feel a bit heavy at times, and the viewfinder preview resolution isn't particularly high. It's also worth noting that this phone isn't built for intense gaming. If your main purpose is gaming performance, I honestly wouldn't recommend it. The S50 has a very clear focus. It puts most of its effort into portraits and selfies. So if you don't take selfies, don't care much about portrait photography, or aren't interested in these shooting features, you probably won't fully appreciate what this phone does well. While organizing my materials later, I suddenly realized something. A lot of the time, it's not that we dislike ourselves, we're just too used to living according to other people's expectations. Even before posting a photo, we often ask ourselves not, do I like this? But is this okay to post? Will others think it looks good? But if you don't even like a photo or a phone yourself, then whether it's technically correct doesn't really matter. It's okay for a phone to be imperfect, and it's also okay for us to be imperfect. After using flagship devices and then switching back to the Vivo S50, there are clearly many needs it can't fully satisfy. But interestingly, during this time, I found myself more willing to take selfies. Maybe it's because of the wide range of features, maybe it's because the photos turn out nicely, or maybe it's because it doesn't try to do everything, allowing me to focus more on capturing myself in everyday moments. So if you often take photos of people, yourself, and daily life, enjoy sharing on platforms like Xiaohongshu, Weibo, or WeChat moments, and prefer images with emotion and a sense of story without spending too much time on editing or color grading, then the S50's overall experience might be exactly what you're looking for. That said, if you have higher expectations for performance and overall specs, and you want a more traditional flagship level experience, then I'd recommend checking out the S50 Pro Mini instead. As for pricing, the base version in China starts at 2,999 yuan, which is roughly 318 pounds in the UK and about $424 in the US. All right, that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. If you'd like this to sound more emotional, more concise, or more persuasive for a final inclusion, just tell me and I'll fine-tune it for you.